And welcome back everyone to the late night game dev streaming. I'm going to be going over some stuff today about what we've been working on for the last couple days and show off the stuff that we built last time. And first, just want to show you guys some of the art updates I've been doing for the level. And then I'll go over some of the missions, or the event system redux that I did. So, as you can see, we added a bunch of new geometry and art assets for each of these worlds. I'll just run through and show you just some of these pieces. We're going to be placing a couple of them in the world here as I start building out new obstructions and props for the level. And so I've got some, you'll see there's some new pillars in here, a couple of stairs. On the other building we just had, there's even shingles on the outdoor. I incorporated some more pillars over on this side. There's wall geo that's different now. Even some little deco things that we can put. And I built a bunch of different things that share the same texture and shader as the rest of the wall. So there's some beds and various fireplaces. Let's see if I got something down here. Added some rugs to break up the ground a little bit in these areas. And shingles on the outside of these buildings, just enough to make these buildings look different. You can see these candles, new illuminated objects that are going to be in the world. And yeah, just like a little more color, a little more variation, because I've got to make a bunch of these tile sets for when the map gets generated, because the maps are going to be semi-procedurally generated, and I'll go over some of those as well. But I do want to show off some of the changes that I made to how the event system worked. Now, previously I had written it so that the event system would trigger off of individual changes to the world objects, such as like when a door opens or when a player stands on a particular tile, something would spawn, like usually just a monster spawn in that location. And you know, that wasn't particularly well done because it was just kind of a first implementation. So I ended up rewriting that code to be more of an event system that was that had very different states that could be held and different actors that could be kind of cached for that. So I'm going to show you what these ones look like, the basic kinds that we've built over the past week or so. And I'll show you the first ones in here. So I'm going to break these doors real quick. I've got one tile in this room that's been flagged in my level generator to when a party stands on it, it will begin a monster spawn in this room, place barriers in the room, or place barriers at these walls to prevent you from leaving the room. So you have to kill the monsters. Once the monster count has been completed, the barriers will drop. I'll show you what it looks like here. So you can see monsters spawned in this room. At locations placed. I've got these one-way barriers. You can actually leave, or you actually can't leave the room, but you can enter the room. So when one of these events is set, those barriers act to allow players and even other monsters enter this area, but requires you to kill this group of 3 in order to drop the barriers and escape. So you can imagine all the variations of that could exist in the game. As you're searching through buildings, you can run into these different encounter events, and that whole event system is going to be something where I can hook into and create even dialogue, specific actions that are required to complete the mission, and they're all hidden from the player and all randomly generated, so that when they enter a room, they don't know exactly what's going to happen. So the typical one is kind of what we saw in the original vertical slice I was building, was that when you open a door, monsters spawn. And so I built this one to just be exactly that. It is the same, the new system that just says when a door opens, or more than just a door opening, it's when these tiles here that are on the doors become, have a visibility type of none, which means they don't block any visibility. Normal doors have a visibility type blocker based on whether they're, blocking horizontally, which means they block left to right, and then there's vertical, which means they block north to south. So when these doors become visible, or the tiles underneath them become visible, that is when the event triggers, and there are tags that we can put on the event, but there's 3 spawners in there. And this particular event never really ends because it doesn't have a finished state like the barrier destruction one that's above. And I'll go to this one here and show you what this one looks like. This one is the same kind of thing where you will stand on, I've labeled all these tiles around this chest as proximity tiles. So when a person gets close, it's going to trigger the trap, and boom, a skeleton will spawn, barrier prevents me from leaving, and I can have to kill him. And this is also another piece of this. I flagged this room to require you to kill, it's either 3 or 5 of these guys, we'll see in a second. But I've also allowed it so that this only has one spawner. Now, typically we would want to spawn, probably in an event like this, all of them at once, but this just goes to show you that I can set up these spawn triggers to spawn different waves of enemies or a count that's higher than the initial, and this event will stay open until you've cleared the number. So there you go. And then the last one I want to show off here is this one. This is it's just another example of how these triggers can trigger different objects at the same time with the same event. So there's a tile at the center here that won't block me in with barriers, because we want to do more things than just place barriers at your exit. But this one does some interesting things, like this one will just close the doors that are behind me. Now I can open the doors and do whatever I want after that, but this is just to show you that I can do other events that are kind of generic when the room event is triggered. So I think the square is right here. Yep. So it closed those doors. Now those doors could be destroyed if I broke them before I got in the room. It would basically, the doors, there's another piece. When the event is done, the doors will be triggered in an open event. So like I said, this thing's going to be expandable because we've got events to trigger on start, on finish, and then right now the only way to finish the event is to kill the monsters based on the monster count. But that's not to say we can't build other variations of this thing that require different things, like pulling levers or even timed events. I'm going to show you what these look like when I'm actually building them, because I built a level editor for my world. And this is basically how it's set up. We've got over here on the tile maps, there's a section called variant markup maps. And all this section does is allows me to place these tiles that are red. Place these tiles on this map that are red when the level's loading, and it determines what to do with that tile that's being loaded. So, for example, you place this obstruction here. It's actually going to this crate thingy. It's going to actually go into here and find crate. Now, which one is this? This might be crate. That's crate 4, and it will load this actor in that location. More specifically, it'll load this on top of a sub actor that is the network component for it. And so that's the part of placing these kind of static objects in here. It will actually like pick up, spawn this pickup for the grappling hook, or this health pack, or this chest. The other half of this is the scripting map. And so every variant, it's like the full variant map here, has a scripting map on it as well. And that's where I can mark it up for scripted events. And what it'll do the same thing essentially as the variant map. It will find, it'll go through each tile, it'll find what the tile's supposed to do, adds the events to the thing, and then creates the overall, in this case it's called a monster room. So it'll read this tile. This doesn't have to be here, but it'll read all the tiles in the room, and then it will determine what it's actually trying to make. But right here is just a tile that's a tag for what to do with a monster room in this area. And so this thing doesn't do anything on its own. It actually just reads for other tiles for a monster room and says, okay, make a monster room and assign these parameters to it. In this case, I've labeled the monster room as 3 kills and a rate of 8. That means requires you to kill 3 monsters to succeed, and the monsters will spawn from any of the spawners in the room at a rate of once every 8 seconds. It'll pick one spawner. So you can see in this room, it's already got 3 spawners in it, so it doesn't matter what that rate is, because it's only going to spawn up to the max count. So once the 3 spawners trigger, they'll trigger instantly, because every room spawner is triggered when the room is triggered. And then it will do the spawn event. And it also does these triggers over here, which are the barriers. So I've got a monster room barrier east and a barrier south. And the triggering tile right over here is the monster room. It's a gather tile. And so I made this is like a proximity tile where a player has to be stepping on it. But the gather tiles are a little bit special. They mean that you can't just put one character on it and have it trigger. It has to be a full party, which means every player in the group has to be on that location in order for it to trigger. So I can give you an idea here. So I'll make these 4 tiles gather tiles, and I'll show you what it looks like with one player. It's going to play the exact same, but with multiple players, it actually requires the full party to be there, and it does track for when players join and leave, so they know, or so it knows to get the required amount. Let's go ahead and grab another one. Okay, so this guy, let's go ahead and grab this guy. He can walk on it, no problem. And at some point we'll have, when you walk on these tiles, it won't just be a guessed whether you have to gather your party, but we'll have some sort of messaging there. And then the moment I walk this guy onto it, the whole party's there, the thing has been triggered. And that springs the trap. But I could easily change this to do some other stuff, and I'll just show you like an idea of some other ideas here. So instead of having barriers here, we could say, all right, instead of putting barriers up, this spawn room will trigger on proximity. So we'll just throw like a proximity tile here. Or maybe it's a trap that triggers when you get close to the door. And we trigger on proximity to these doors. And let's take a spawner out to show what that looks like with less than the maximum number of monsters. And then instead of closing these doors, actually I think that the best thing to do is probably, well, let's just leave the doors open. There's no reason that we don't actually, that's another piece of this, you don't actually have to do anything to have these things, doesn't always have to have events to be completed. So now if I were to do this, instead of trying to escape, it now spawns the 2 guys. Now I can just leave in this case because I didn't label the label any or give you any reason to have to stay inside. But yeah. So what that also means is that all of the previous tags that I built for triggers, for proximities, very complicated tags, basically can all go away. And part of what I was doing this week was going through and redoing a lot of the tiles I had in my vertical slice. And I'll show you what that looks like real quick. I didn't get through nearly all of them, unfortunately. So I actually ran into an issue where I saw what kind of layouts I wanted, and then I realized I probably do need to make more art, because I built a couple of, everything has semi-static interiors with tiles that are semi-random, and their configuration being random. So you can see through here we've got, I built like bookshelf rooms, and there's the obstruction and stuff change, but the static geometry in the world doesn't really change. So this one's also a thing where I put a barrier here to prevent you from leaving, and now I'm killing guys. And what's interesting about those barriers is the enemies from the outsides can still pour in, and if you have friends, they can, in your group, they can still pour in and assist you if you're stuck in a situation like this. So I think that's pretty cool. And you know, part of the update to this is to make the world or the city that you're traveling through look a little more populated, but ultimately I think all of these rooms are still going to be fairly sparse when it comes to the furniture in Geo, because you don't really want, you need enough space for the fights to actually be fun. And if you fill it all up with benches and chairs that are, you know, cluttering up the area you can't push past or you can't break, it's going to cause problems. So what I'm trying to do is figure out a visual language, and that's what I spent a little bit of what can be static and what can be destructible, because not everything we want to be completely destroyable. See how these, like this table being wedged against the wall is probably okay, but I wouldn't want to, this table here is probably closer to in the way than I want, because I kind of go behind it. So yeah, just giving a little bit of decor without going overboard. Let me go find one other spot. I didn't get through all of these, but I did quite a few of them. This area is still pretty sparse. And tonight I'm going to be going through some of the new objects that I've built that are destructible, and new light sources, because that's one thing that I'm definitely missing, is having enough variation right now in the sources of light. I just have basically those giant torches, which look fine, but they're definitely only one look. So take a look. We've got a nice cool little bed, some bookshelves, but yeah, you don't want to fill this I don't want to fill a room with tables and chairs I can't break, because that's not nearly as fun as to fight in if you're getting stuck on Geo. Let's see if I can't get this guy to join me in here. See, that's cool, is getting him to blow up stuff and break the room apart for me. Nope, unfortunately I built this room to block me in until I complete the event in here. And it's taking a long time to spawn enough of them. Okay, now I can escape. See if I can still use this thing. This thing is probably overpowered still. Yep. Definitely overpowered still. These guys can be a pain in the butt. Let's take a look. I think there's only one more section. Oh, we must have passed it. I think that's it, yeah. So that's the major updates, is just getting the art in. But I'm going to go into what we're building today. Alright, I've set up a lot of the art ahead of time. But let's just go into it, actually. I'm going to go ahead. I built, let me just duplicate this guy. I've got bases that I can, are basically another version of the crate that are destructible. And I built a number of them. From this atlas here. So I'm going to go ahead and make another texture. Find where the asset texture is. So I need to duplicate. I'm gonna need a bunch of these. I think I'm gonna need 3 vases worth. So here's the new Geo I got, or the new sprites I built. We got vases. We got 3 levels of destruction, and then a dead version. I've got these new torches, candlesticks, some sprite sheets for lanterns, 2 barrels with the destructed barrel, chairs, because I figured chairs are the right size for being able to blow up and kind of being able to place them to fill up the emptiness of certain rooms. I also think the rugs are going to help. Switches, I'm going to be doing more switches to help you backtrack through the city as you advance along the quest. So let's grab this vase here. I think it's 24 by 24. And I have probably a little bit this way. I think we can actually make it smaller because it is because it needs to be as big as the final frame here. That is actually the more accurate version of it, because I need to have all these frames just because how Godot does its animation for sprites. Okay, so save that. That's vase 1. I'll make a vase 2. And I think this one is just going down 24, which 96. Up, down, which is 40. That's vase 2. Vase 3. That one's going up 24, which was 16, and then 96. Oh, no. 128. Close, we'll get there. 168. That looks more right. And that, apparently that's vase 2. And vase 3 is that. Okay. And then I'll duplicate this guy, because we need to grab the barrel, which is 24 down. And we need to grab the next barrel. Oh man, it moved this guy down. Ugh. You gotta do this sometimes. 216. Let's find barrel. And I'll duplicate this. And we're gonna have the other kind of barrel. The sideways barrel. I've got a couple of extra things over here. So I've got a water barrel and an explosive barrel. Looks like the alpha channel got offset on the explosive barrel. But I don't plan on doing that tonight anyway. Mostly just gonna get these destructibles in, and I wanna get some more of the lanterns and stuff in. So we got this candle flame. Oh, this is definitely the wrong Destruction Atlas. That guy. Okay. Definitely on the wrong page for that thing. $250 maybe? Nope. 244? Yep, I think that's correct. No, we need to be 245. Or no, 243. Nope. No, that was right. 244. Just looked wrong on the preview. So I'm going to duplicate this guy. We'll call this one Lantern 1. So I want to grab these lantern frames. Oh, and he's got the wrong one too. Okay, they all got to be one to the right because this is an odd number. And let's grab lantern 2. Okay, so we got the 2 lanterns, and then we've got, let's get the torch flame. Now this one's a little interesting. I don't know exactly how many across it was when I was drawing it out. But I think we'll just go for an odd number or an even number and hope for the best. Looks kind of spaced right. And then we've got that candle stand, which is the wrong. I gotta get rid of that obstruction ping and get the target in there because I've changed how the material works. Let's go get the other stand while we're here. And this is the one I want to place on tables and such. Okay, and I'll grab the other one. Okay, so that's 2. Third one. This guy. And I bet there's a way to... Actually, it's probably be fine. We duplicate and we'll do these other 2 stands while we're here. I'm splitting the flames off the top of these just so I can animate them easier, but I think they're probably all gonna be the same object at the end of the day. And they're all sharing the same sprite sheet, so I don't think it's not gonna cause any extra draw calls or anything. And then I've gotta grab the torch. I could have sworn that I built a torch. I built a side version of the torch that was facing off the side of the wall as opposed to just head on. Let me find, there's the torch. Fire? There's a torch. So that's the torch holder. Okay, let's go over here where we just got this vase set up. We'll call it vase 01. And let's replace the sprite with vase. Okay. So now I gotta get it lined up because the crate clearly had 4 frames that were offset differently. Interesting. Okay, so that's gonna be that might be a problem later. So the idea here is I don't even think this uses the damage state. So here's a damage event, and then it will cycle through the frames from 0 to 3 as it takes more damage. Now I think these things are all set to have hit points. And this guy's going to be pretty weak, so I'm going to throw 20 on these vases. I think the name just works because, let me take a look at how they did the markup map. So, in the markup map, everything on the markup tile sheet is right here. Right here. So here's the markup tile sheet. It's just this big sheet full of all sorts of random stuff. They're usually The two things that I've got in here the most are the props and obstructions. And obstructions, like I said before, props are anything that doesn't have physical geo, and obstructions have a little bit of preloaded static geo in them, so that you can run into them and cause collision events. Props usually just can only handle overlap events. So when I'm deciding what they are, it's this the biggest thing is anything that does just overlap events or doesn't interact with anything, it becomes a prop. If it has a physical box that you can bump into, then that becomes an obstruction. Anything can take damage usually is an obstruction. So I'll just go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just draw out every single one of the objects we put out. So here's vase. And we're going to just go through each one of these things and make sure they're hooked up properly and they're loading in properly. I've only done the one vase so far, and I think because I labeled that as vase 1, but it really looks like vase 2 on this sheet, it's probably going to do a little funkiness. But there's the candle, first one. Here is the stand one. 3 candles. Lantern, torch. Now all these things are offset in this tile map a little bit, like they're kind of high, but it on the map itself, but it really doesn't matter. When they load in at the lower center portion of the tile that they're loading into, and then I can apply offsets to them. So I'm just going to take a look. We had in the setup over here, I have the vase listed over here, but in order for it to be pulled, I have to grab the obstruction name in this loader by the markup item name. So let's go ahead and just give it an obstruction name. So the markup item is called vase 1, obstruction item name vase 1. And then I have to do one other thing, which is get the type of item, because it doesn't know immediately what type it is. So by labeling vase 1 there as an obstruction, well, it should roll in. Oh, it didn't like that markup item name vase 1. Why didn't it like that? That should exist. There's multiple vase 1s, or multiple 35s in this list. Did I do something weird here? 34 or 35. Let's take a look. Why is it not like that? It does say markup item multiple. Oh no, because it's up here. It's already been added. Let's try it out. See it loaded. Yep, loaded the base. Now just gonna have to take a look because there is another loaded object there. And I don't know, I mean that's clearly on one of the variant maps. But I don't see it visible on this thing, so that is a little concerning. That means something is loading in a crate or a chest in that location. It's possible that there is a variant map being loaded. Oh, it can't be. It can't be on that side, can it? That is confusing. Why would it be loading in? You know what I think is happening? I think one of these variant maps has the old data for these crates. That's what I think is happening. It's loading a blank tile as this crate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to select I hate how you can't select it twice. It doesn't. It immediately stops you after the first select. Very annoying. Yeah, because something is selecting a crate, I bet, on a default value. And that's the problem of leaving blank spaces in your markup map. You won't know if there's bugs in it. Alright, let's try that again. And I'm going to go ahead and place that vase down. And just so I know, I'm going to place it exactly in that. Actually, place it in that tile, because that's the wrong vase type. Alright. I deleted those doors on accident. Yeah, so it was a tile causing some issue there. So that looks like it's pretty much in the correct location. I don't like how big the geo of that thing is. It had a lot of geometry, a lot of collision in it. Turn all this stuff off. So its collision is pretty dense. I also placed it on the wrong section here. Yeah. So that should be in the correct area now. I'm going to place a couple more of them. What I want to do is that's got a lot of geo, and you can see actually on here what's happening. We've got a sprite that is not quite at the same vertical level it needs to be. And then we've got this this collision here, which is like this square. You can see there's clearly a square geo on this thing, and it's a rectangle. And we don't want that. We just want to convert it into maybe just a circle and make it small. Like a radius of 4. Let's take a look. I don't really want him, going into it. Let's do 5.5. And that looks like it pretty much covers it. And then, so the big thing is the sprite is too low for where the geo is going to be. So on this position, we'll go ahead and bump it up 4 pixels. And that's pretty good. I mean, I think that'll be fine. I want to give that a shot, though. I want to run an editor and make sure it's placed at the right square, because this should be placed dead center bottom of that location. But this has an offset of -8, which means it will move it up 8, but still it should still do the same overlap for the sprite. The biggest thing about testing these is making sure that the sprite sorting works properly. So, yeah, going to this thing, it looks like it still feels offset. It still feels like, and you can see there, I am sorting a little funny. Yeah, it still feels like there's too much geo at the top here. I think that's because there's this local offset screwing it up. Let me delete the local offset, and we'll want to try, actually, I think is the parent offset, and that basically moves the whole thing up in the tile. Actually, let's not do any of that. Let's leave it right at the bottom of the tile. I just want to check before I start moving it around. Okay. Okay, it really does feel like that's not high enough. What is going on with its with its position here. Because it definitely feels like I can't. Let's do this. Visible collision shapes and take a look at how that. Yeah, see, it's moving the sprite back down. It's like resetting its position, and not exactly sure why that's happening. Because it's like fixing it to 0. See, I wonder if it's because this offset thing has always been interesting to me because it does some weird stuff sometimes. I just want to see if it's actually going to fix my issue. I'm wondering if this thing actually resets the sprites transform. Okay, so that did move it. It's still not right though. Like it's not matching. What is going on? I see. Is there a transform on this thing? What is happening? What is it doing? Animation flare. Oh, this does set a position. That's interesting. Maybe there's something going on with the position being reset to... Yeah, that looks like it's doing it. -2. So what I need to do is I need to clear this guy. Because that's clearly not what I need. And this guy being set to -2, we need to go through and actually set him to what we really want. It's gonna play that damage instantly, I bet. Oh, let's see, -6. That looks about right. We'll copy that guy. We'll keyframe him there. -6 again. Keyframe him there. And then we'll figure out what that location looks like. Let's go with -7. Okay. That should fix the problem. Although, it's not optimal, is it? Looks like it doesn't do it until it starts, so it's already... Let's see. So, that looks correct. But when you're not in the animation player, let's go over here. That's correct. I mean, it should be fine. The reset position is putting it. It's always something. Okay, so we got these vase. They got their own health. Looks like can deal enough damage to... I think my thing does 10 damage, so actually won't ever get to that third state. Let me up the health. go. And right now, all these objects share the same particle system of that debris coming off them. I think it's located over here somewhere. It says destructible. Yeah, I might have pulled it off of the subtypes and put it somewhere else, but eventually we're gonna have a unique resource that they load for when they take damage like that. So let's turn off visible collision and see what it looks like without all the debug. And they'll make the next base. There we go. Those look a little square, those patterns of the broken base stuff. Look a little square to me. Fix that later. So we get the, we got one in. Let's duplicate it, make another one. Our show and file system. We'll duplicate you. Phase 2. Okay, this one's a little fatter. We'll use a different capsule, I think, capsule collider. Oh, I don't think I can actually do that on this thing without doing a bunch of weird rotations. That's a pain. Let me make a convex shape. Let's do 8 points. How many pixels is that? It's 5. 6 pixels. So we'll do left and then do 0. We'll do 1. Let's turn this thing down. So we got 0, 1, and then we got -6 to -5. Right? I wonder if there's a way I can modulate this guy down, actually. Let me modulate his alpha. We can take a look at what he's doing here. 7. This thing's actually a full 16. And then we'll go, okay, so we need to go up a little more, so we'll go 12. Oh, it's -12, -12, and we'll go up to -8. Wow, we want to go positive. Cool. Down to 10. Probably actually 8. -8. Bring it in a little bit. Okay, so the next one should probably be the center top, which is going to be an x of 0 and a y of negative. Let's do -7. We'll probably want to bring that right one in as well. So take this one around. What do I got here? I got -7. So I want to do positive 7 and still negative 4. And then I want to do positive 8 and 1. And I want to go positive 5 and then 5. I want to go shorter than that. I still think these need to come in a little bit. Let's see. -6. Okay. We want this guy to go. No, wrong one. Okay. 6 and negative 3. That really should be the same one. Where's my positive 3? Where's my positive 3, negative 5? Okay, that's the one I was missing. So we need a positive 6, negative 3, and we need an 8, and a 1. Okay, and then we've got this guy, which is going to be positive 2. Yeah, I mean, positive 3. All right, clearly that's not quite right. I wish they had an easier, maybe they do have an easier way to modify these things, but I don't think they do. Can you select these points? No. Yeah. If someone knows, let me know if there's a way to just grab the points as opposed to typing them into this silly array. Okay. Let's go 6. Do negative 6. That's good enough for now. I'll have to smooth that out eventually. Okay, so we got this sprite, we got base 2, and I've already set it up to be in the world. Looks kind of tall. I guess we'll see what it looks like when it's in there. And it's these ones, because they're flipped. I must not set them up in the editor yet. So that says base 2. There must be no reference to the asset. Let me do that for the rest of the stuff we're doing tonight. So base 2, base 2, base 3, base 3. And we're going to do the 2 barrels as well. Make sure those barrels are on the instruction list. Yep. Base phase 3 is not, so we'll go ahead and throw it on here. Okay, so here we are. And they had the wrong material. They either had the wrong material applied or something weird happened to them, but... Oh no, because I left them at lower opacity. So, collision looks good. They die the right amount. Cool. Let's turn their opacity back up just so we can take a look. That's perfect. It almost just goes right at the edge of where it goes from behind the sprite to in front of the sprite. This one looks like I am not behind the sprite until right around here, which is a little awkward. But the rest of these guys seem perfectly fine. Collision looks good enough. Cool. Yeah, I don't like the shape of those. Those look too square. Now let's make another one, and we'll be done with phases. Okay, I want to take a look at the visibility again. We're gonna... Yeah, it's good enough. That's good enough. Not gonna go nuts about it. We've got... Everything else looks fine. I want to rename it up here. This guy got a rename too. Alright, so now they all... Let's go ahead and add a couple more to this map. Base 3. Yeah, the whatever I did to put it on the mini-map, or on the markup map is all wrong. Like, these clearly are the wrong order on the markup map. We'll just have to flip them around, I think. I think that's the easier thing to do. There we go, we got all of them. Yeah, they look pretty good. That's roughly where I'd expect them to be. They take damage. Cool. Now I got more things to litter the world with that we can blow up. Okay, let's do the same thing. We got a couple barrels. And I bet we'll have to change the, not just the sprite, I bet we'll have to change the animation size. Or its Y offset. Okay, so yeah, already this thing is higher up. Let's move it back down, and that means we're gonna have to make a couple of adjustments. First thing I'll do, take this guy, we'll make it a little translucent. Okay. Yeah, that's not so bad actually. That might work fine. I just gotta go into the animation player and change these animations now. 5. 5. Put you to 6, and then I want to go to the reset animation, which they all get playing for some reason at the beginning. Turn that to 5. Okay, and I think barrel has barrel been added here? It has. And barrel has been added here. Yep, okay. Oh, I didn't add it to the world. Yeah, I have to draw it on the marker map. Draw it here. We go. Where are my barrels? Here's my first barrel. Put a couple of them out. And we'll put the other ones out for good measure. And I really need to change their hit points. I want them to... Ooh, so... We have an obstruction subtype load invalid. Let's see. We've got the barrel here. It's loading it is invalid. The destructible, that should be fine. Let's see, we've got that. Yeah, the debugger says the load. Okay, so that's an interesting problem. That invalid subtype load is actually coming from... Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure that's coming from these guys. Although there are 6 of them. I think it's whenever I try to draw something on the markup map that is not a thing that's prepared for the editor, it actually will error out and prevent the level from loading. Which is fine for right now, but just a pain in the butt. I mean, I think we do want to have it keep you from loading. Okay, yeah, it looks pretty good. Barrels break. Yeah. Yeah, I like their death looks way better. And let's go ahead and turn this thing's visibility back to normal. Oh, let's take a look at the next barrel. And once I've added it to the list of things that can load, it will now not error out and allow the level to load. So I'm gonna go ahead and let me draw it back on the markup map. And then we'll go make sure it's gonna load properly. Okay. Barrel 2. And I will need to adjust its collider. I think it needs a square collider, which is going to be cheaper. Yeah, it's going to need a square collider. Actually, I could probably repurpose this thing and make it a hex collider. Let me do that. Let me take this guy. We'll drag this guy to 8. So we'll also be 8. And this will be negative 6. We'll go. Nope. We'll go with 4 here. Nope. 6 here. And then we don't need this guy. We need a positive 6. And we need a negative 3. And then we need a 8. And a negative 3. Wait, that doesn't look right at all. Okay, so that went 8, 1, negative 8, and then negative 6, and that should go all the way across to that. And then it should go 8 to there. This guy should also be 8, and it should be 1. And then the other one was 6. I think this is going to be 6, 2, and then it's going to have to go positive 3. And this guy will be And that should loop around, right? We got 7. Huh. I need to add another one of these guys. It needs to be -6, +3. Looks good to me. Okay, and close this guy down. We'll refresh this thing. And let's take a look. I mean, it's sitting pretty high in the frame. I wonder if it's going to look weird, because that's where the cutoff is, the center there. I feel like it needs to move down one. Yeah, it's right. It says -6 here, but it's really -5. Because this is set to -5, this is set to -5. Reset is set to -5, so that's where it's going to actually be. All right, take a look at these guys, and then we'll start doing some lights. This one may not be the most interesting stream. It's mostly just building stuff that we've got a structure for already. Look like barrels. Cool. I do want to turn their health up a little bit. The other guys were at 40. Let's make them the same as the crates. That's where it's really at. Might as well make it look correct. 40. Okay, all the crates and barrels and all the vases and barrels are done. Perfect. We'll need to reorder those vases. That's going to happen. But I'll just do it in the in this tile map. Actually, let me just do it in here. Right at this guy. Okay, so in here, the tallest one is base 1. Base 2, and the fattest one is base 3. So what I want to do is I'm going to flip these guys around. So I believe we had it made so base 1 was the skinniest one. Base 2 was the fattest one. So this guy is at the back of the bus. And these two guys are moving up. Okay. It saved as a ping, so it should be fine. Okay, now let's take a look at the chunk. Looks like that looks pretty good to me. It looks like it's going to be the correct vases. Let's just double check. So we've got skinny, fat, and medium. And one other thing that I've got on here that's a little wrong is they're placed at the bottom of a tile. And unfortunately, that's not exactly where it is when you draw it out. You see how they're kind of placed in the center, lower center of this this tile here. They really need to be placed closer to the center of a tile, because if I were to draw them like here in a doorway or something, and I want them to block the door, or even here, and run the editor now, or run the game now, you'll see it's going to move them down because they're actually going to be positioned at the intersection here. See, it moved it down. And there's a way to fix that in obstructions to make it closer to what you're seeing, and that is a thing called parent offset, and that will physically move it up into position and use the correct. The trouble with just moving the sprite, you can't just change the sprite, because all that will do, it'll move this sprite up, but the sorting for where your character goes in front of the sprite is based off of the parent. So we need to turn this thing into a negative offset to make sure that it actually goes up the correct value. And I'm just going to have to eyeball it, I think, because let's see, he was here, that's 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 2 pixel, 3, 4, 5, 6 pixels. I think 6 is pretty close to the center. Let's take a look at 6 and compare. And we'll just apply the same thing to all of them. Oh yeah, pretty close. I think it's 1 off. Oh no, it's actually dead on. Perfect. So I'm going to apply the same thing to all of them. And where is my barrels? Now we can close them down. And we've got 5 new things to play with. Okay. Let's do one last check, and then we're going to go into getting these lights and torches and stuff set up. Okay. And that's closer to the center of the tile. These guys look like they're offset over to the right by 1. But it's hard to tell because I think the floor also has a bit of a bias to one side. And I think there's something wrong with this barrel, because this barrel should not let me get... it's hard to tell. I can get behind this guy fine. I can't get behind this guy at all. Okay. Let's take a look at this animation. -5 for the sprite position, and this sprite position is at -5. Oh, it's because it is really high up actually. That collision is pretty tall. I hate messing with it though. It's a pain. All right, I'll do the last adjustment to this thing. I'm gonna go 5. Actually, let's do 4. Come on, take them 4. And we'll move this guy down too. This is -3. It'll be -2. Now I should be able to get behind it slightly. I'll turn the transparency back off. Okay, yeah, so you can just ever slightly get on the right side of that thing. Really, what you want to see is you want to see the sprite always sort on top until he cuts through the halfway point of the barrel, which should be, yeah, right there. That's where you can see this, the axe just barely on in front, and then now it's behind. It's subtle, but when you see it break, like I've got these new shingles I added, and you can see occasionally the weapon will go behind them. And it's mostly fine, but it does annoy me at times just seeing it be the wrong sort. These shingles sort all the way on top, but the walls next to them don't. And I probably will have to break that tile off of the wall and put a roof tile on it. I haven't really decided how I'm going to go about making that work, but that's something that probably needs to change once I get the more gameplay stuff fleshed out for a vertical slice. All right, let's go do some cool torches and more candle stuff. Okay, so because the torches and candles are not destructible for the most part, and you can't run into them, like the one I have right now up here, these sit on a wall, and all they do is animate. So here's my candle. It's just it's considered a prop, just a regular prop, and all it does is animate. So I'm going to duplicate this guy because I have 3 candle types and a torch type that I'm going to use essentially the same geo. Okay, so candle 2, the only difference is the base. And I'm going to load the base of this guy. We've got candle stand 1, candle stand 2. Candle stand 2 looks like it's just the same kind of stand, but with a little saucer that the candle sits in. And that's meant to go on top of tables. And all my animation player on this thing doesn't have any position data, which is going to make this a lot easier. And especially because it has no collision, that's going to be a heck of a lot easier. I want to make sure I've set up the candle in here, because candles are on this list. Actually, let me look at the markup map with candles. So we've got this kind of candle. That's candle 2. That's candle 3. That's probably 4 and 5. So 1, 2, and 3 are all props. And I didn't actually make a candle prop other than candle 1. So I'm gonna have to do some interesting things with these. The one that sits on top of the table, at least. And I've got candles. I need to make them props from the markup map. I'm hoping that this is more easily expandable in the future, but who knows. Okay. All right, we got this candle, and I'm gonna need to figure out how I'm gonna handle this. So what I really want to do with this type of candle is I want it to sit up on top of something. So it works fine like could be on a wall, I guess, but the way that I've built it, I want it to be able to sit like on top of a table like that. Now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna sort that, because most props sort low towards the floor. So what I would need is to make sure this candle, whenever it spawns in, it's offset up enough in its, at least the sprites, so that it sorts correctly. Now I know this table sorts with the bottom here is the most where it starts to begin to sort over into the other sprite. So I can just use that as an offset and just say, all right, I'm going to place this thing high up in the frame. It means I have to offset this by quite a bit, because that's actually pretty low. Probably not that high, though. Why is my snapping so high? How do I change the settings? Okay, that's not useful at all. There we go. Let's take a look at where we're at. Okay, that looks fine. Call it candle 2. And I need to turn... I think that's all I need to do. I think that's fine. I think it'll just work. Actually, I might have to change this, make sure it sorts higher than the wall. Maybe not the wall, but at least on the same level as the wall. Okay, yeah, it just works. Let's make sure I can swipe over it. It's still a little high, actually. It needs to probably be closer to the base of that. Now, the limitation of doing it this way, as you can see, you can place it here, but if you place it here, it's going to go underneath the table. And that's probably okay. I mean, if I needed to make more versions of it, I'll make more versions of it rather than try to figure out a dynamic way to have the tile map sort just for this markup item. Let's take it down a bit. I think it was too tall. Oh, I gotta do both. Gotta do both. Can't just do the fire. I think there's something wrong with that sprite too, because that sprite doesn't have a bottom to it, and they usually do. So like these little candles have a little bottom, and they don't. It looks like the pixels are a little wonky there, so there's always like a bit of missing pixel. But that looks pretty good. That's actually pretty close to where it is on the markup. It's 1, 2, 3 on the markup. And it is 1, 2, 3 here. Okay, so perfect. And it creates that cool effect. Yeah, another thing I did too is the shadow layers that I put in for the tile map. I'll show you what those look like. I actually took the shadows. We used to have shadows that were drawn on this map using sizes of tile. So like shadow would be, there'd be a big shadow layer. What did I just do? All right, there'd be a big shadow layer in between these doors because it was double size. And so I went ahead and turned the shadow mask into an 8x8 tile as opposed to a 16x16, which lets me do some cool stuff. Like I can paint under some of the furniture now. Normally these things would be far too close and it would form these kind of shadows where it would look kind of ugly. This gives me a little more control for thinner alleyways, like the space between two doors. I just want enough room in there to make it look like I have a little more control. I don't expect to be painting like every little tile like that and giving all that, because there's going to be shapes that are just not going to work. But this gives me a lot more control, so I went ahead and did that as well. Okay, so we got that candle in. Let's do the third candle. And I think that one's probably going to be easiest just duplicating this guy. And let's see what the sprite looks like. Candle stand 3. This is the triple one. And we'll take these flames and we will duplicate the flame. Now, I want to offset the animation of this and see if it looks okay. Because all of these things are playing the same animation right now. But I have 3 flames, not 1. So I'm gonna add a new track. We'll start it with frame. And then we'll go back to 1. So he'll be 1 frame off of his buddy. And then we'll make this guy have his own animation. We'll set him up with 2 frames off. And then he'll go 3. Oh, no. 3. Oh, hey, I wanted this thing to be 2. I swear, Godot sometimes is like garbage. Okay. Yeah, looks more like a torch. Kind of weird. Why is there so much extra buffer room at the end of this thing? It feels like it pauses. Let's take a look. I think I fucked something up here. 0.3, 0.6. Yeah, because there is. It should only be. No, that's correct. 0.6. Why does it look like it's freezing on that last frame, though? Eh, it's probably just my animation, actually. I think it's correct. Did I just do that all in candle 1? I did, didn't I? Call you candle 4 for now. I'll go back to candle 3. Rename you candle 1. Save you. Go to this guy. Rename it. Candle 3 again. Open up candle 3. Rename it up here. And then take a look at this map. We'll go ahead and place one on the static deco layer. Or no, not. It's in the markup map. Yeah. So the big advantage of like having this on like the static deco layer versus the markup map is that on this it can be dynamic. The static deco layer is not dynamic. So those will be static things that load with every tile. Okay, they look pretty good. Yeah, not bad. I mean, it looks kind of weird because I think the flame looks a little funny. Like something's happening with that animation that freezes. It doesn't look right. But that must be my animation. I thought it looked really good when I was playing it earlier, unless I changed something in one map and not the other. That's a possibility too. Let me go ahead and open up this guy. Now this is the PSD version. Yeah, it looks like that in this one. It feels like it's freezing. How's the alpha look? Alpha's correct. Yeah, weird. Where's candle 3? All right. That looks right. That looks... This is going this way, up 3. This one goes here, 2. Now what's going on there? Actually, there's something weird going on, because this looks wrong. No, that's right. That's correct. Yeah, I don't know. Something weird happening. Let me go ahead and do a real fast version. Something weird, because look, the, well, I guess that's right. And, let's just try this. Let me do, flip horizontal. Can't do that. Yeah, I can. I can do -1. That looks better. I still think it looks kind of weird that it rolls so slow. Maybe I just need more frames. Anyway. Not messing around with that. Actually, I want to do one, because I noticed one thing, this string draw is really high, and I want to lower it to be more accurate with the wall. I think those two are pretty close. Yep. Okay, and then I want to do this guy. I'll move this guy down, because I think he's going to be right around the wall height too. Maybe a little taller. And same with this guy. Yeah, that looks right. And then we're going to try to get some, like we do these little candelabras I put together. Those could be fine to do. Those would be obstructions. You have to change the actor type, which I don't really want to do right now. I'm going to keep doing props until I have to go back to obstructions. So let's go do a lantern. And let's go ahead and make sure we add the lanterns to our list here. Torch on this list. My torch. And we've got 2 more candle types. We've got these candelabras are actually these guys instead. 4 and 5. But we do need to add our torch lanterns to this list. And we need to add our torch to this list. Okay, and let's go ahead. Oh, one thing else I want to show off real quick is this light source component is actually what determines how big the light is. And I'll show you. This guy should probably be toned up a little bit, but I can show you what it looks like with crazy lights on these things that we can do. If you ever want to change the flame colors or whatever, we can definitely do some adjustments for special areas or magic or whatnot. But take a look at these, and now we've all got blue lights throughout here, which is kind of cool. So I'm going to turn this guy, I'll make this that orangey warm color. Eight's a pretty big radius. I think that's in tile size. So that'll be pretty bright. And we have everything that generates lights is added to an array that we built a long time ago that caps at like 32 lights. So what it will do, it'll actually determine which lights are more important, and it will keep those ones on, and will not generate the new lights and add them to the list. So things like projectiles are lights that are less important than the static lights, just so you don't get weird flickering of your static lights. But it only tracks the lights that are currently, see, look at that, actually turn that bottom light off. See? That little candle down there actually does turn off. I think it's probably because I set the importance on these things probably too low. It doesn't look like we've got 32 lights. Maybe I turn that down. But, yep, as you move out of there, that light will turn on. But ideally, the newer lights from all the projectiles coming out will actually be the ones that are affected. But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lights in there. This guy's generating 8 lights. I think there's at least 2 over here. 3 over here. So it probably won't be as lit as you're seeing now. Or I'll figure out a way to get more lights generating. Yep. I'll have to see. There's got to be some printout to figure out how many lights I've got going at a time. There's also some radius to check how far we check for new lights. Of course, I ran out of my projectile thing, so I can't. Unless this guy gives me more. Okay, I can check these light areas. Yeah, it turns those lights off when it generates its own. It's funny. Okay, let's get back to putting these torches out. We've got lanterns to put out here. Let's see. Let me duplicate. Oh, not rename, duplicate. Okay, apparently I already made one lantern. Okay, and that's this guy. We don't need a flame. We've got an animation player that's free now. We'll go quick load the lantern. Okay, so this guy has 5 horizontal frames. Yep. Put him right there. That's fine. And he's pretty high up in the world, but we'll go ahead and boost him a little bit higher. He's gonna have to be on a wall. Let's just do 10. He has a, let's get a track. I can just do this here. So frame 0, create. We're just gonna want to 7.5's fine. This thing has some lame little animation on it. I don't know if it's gonna look good. I haven't even tested it, but let's see. It looks a little crazy, actually. Yeah, it looks almost like a stoplight. I don't really like that, but let's see what it looks like in the editor. This guy. Throw one right here, here. Then we'll throw it out in the middle of the world to take a look at running around it. It looks a little busy in there. Maybe I could tone down the color shift. And probably should darken the back of them too, the metal section. Yeah. But not horrible in terms of lights. I still like how that one came. That one is really good looking. Really blends in with the room, especially with the shadow on the table. Okay, I think I'm getting tired. It's probably time to call it quits. I will be continuing to work on the sprites, get the rest of the lighting in. Gonna look into where my light cap was and expand that a little bit. And then ultimately, I've got the vertical slice map. I need to hook all the chunks back up and get the AI controller all set for running an actual game. But yeah, it may take a little bit because I want to make sure the art pass for the static geo is the same before I start making all the variants, because once the static geo is in place, then I can script all the options of what goes into a room when the level's generated that is not going to be static. That's going to make the replayability more interesting and all the variations of different maps more interesting. Okay. So I guess we'll see you guys next week, and let me know if anybody has any questions, and I can get back to you. Bye.